Can you hear that? Where's Steve? The press and the Down Beach Current were notified of this meeting. A copy of same was posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building. Would you take a second, please turn off all pagers and electronic equipment. We're going to stand for the flag salute. Attention salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would you call the roll, please? Mr. Becker. Here. Mr. Blumberg.
Here.
Okay. First item is a little short update on the dunes. Or no, before we do that, I'll do one other thing. I've asked Fred Berna to bring someone in to talk and get some advice about the sound in this room. He did that. He brought a company by the name of Gramco Business Communications, who I understand does a lot of municipal work. They have given us some suggestions, very expensive suggestions. To put panels up is basically $26,000. They're also making another requirement, a suggestion, that the entire room be carpeted and that we lower the ceiling to 12 feet. Those things obviously aren't very practical. We will, continue to work on that. Steve, Maury, what is,
I think it's a lot of money. My hopes are that in the very near future we'll be able to get back to the City Hall for the commission meetings, for these commission meetings. And in the meantime, we just have to endeavor to persevere. One of the things we might do is move all the chairs closer to where we speak. Maybe that would help. Short of that, I can't see spending that kind of money for a temporary, what I hope is a temporary fix.
I'm in agreement. See, it can happen. Okay. Quickly, on the dunes, I don't know if everybody's aware of it, but the DEP has an appraisal company in town that are obviously appraising those sites that they're going to need easements for. And I just had a phone call 45 minutes ago from Bill Dixon, who is what is his official title? He's the manager of the DEP for coastal engineering or something. Okay. He informed us that the project participation agreement has been signed by the DEP. It has been sent to the Corps of Engineers, and they expect that to be signed very quickly. He told me he would let us know as soon as that is signed, which brings us to a point that we're running out of time here. Now, in the past, we've talked about getting a legal opinion. Everybody's lawyering up. Nobody is really coming forward with any names. A couple months ago, we brought this subject up in a public meeting. There are no names. I sent both commissioners emails asking for names to send it to the solicitor. There were no names. I sent a name, and it kind of died. This may be our last chance. If somebody has a name or if somebody wants to get another opinion, and I have to tell you that I'm very supportive of our solicitor's opinion. I think he's right on point. Everything I've read, every lawyer I spoke to says the same thing. So here we are. Maury, do you have anybody?
Yeah, Mike, I'll have 3 firms, and I talked to Rich about this last week. He's going to help me with this. I'll have 3 firms to him in his email tomorrow, and he was going to reach out and make some calls for me. So I understand that is of the essence, and we will redouble our efforts to try and reach out to these firms to get an estimate for what they would charge us to review and give us an idea of our position. And Rich, you'll have those tomorrow from me.
We really, Maury, I'm not trying to push this, but we're really up against the wall here.
I understand that.
Okay, all right.
It's not your intention to sign anything, though, is it?
To sign what? I'm
Well,
not
this
signing.
wall that we're up against, what exactly is the wall that we're up against?
The DEP will be moving forward, as soon as the PPA is signed, to take the easements under Title 12.
So they're going to come in here, they're going to take our property as well as residents' property in some shape or form. I'm just going to come in and say, I'm taking your property. Is that your understanding of what will happen?
Simplified version of
And-
what's going to happen. That is-
And they believe that they'll take it without any kind of fight from anybody?
Well, we don't know.
Okay.
We already have a legal opinion from the Attorney General. We have a legal opinion from our solicitor. So we'll see. If you have three names, I sent Scott one. Scott, maybe would you call that person or give the name to Rich, and Rich can take care of all of it, whatever you want to do.
Okay.
And we'll deal with it. But we have to move, okay?
Good.
All right. Also, some encouraging news from Mr. Dixon, also the DEP. The Amherst Avenue bulkhead project has been given top priority for the year 2015. They should know by July what's going on. They're waiting for the governor's budget. It is of the top priority, so it looks good at this point, but we can't guarantee anything. So if you remember, way back in February when Scott, Rich, and I met with Commissioner Martin, we had three objectives. One was to get a legal opinion from the Attorney General, right? One was to talk about the bulkhead in addition to a thing, and the other was dredging. So the bulkhead looks good. Dredging is still a possibility. The management of dredging was transferred from DEP to the Department of Transportation. So we are still looking into that, and Mr. Dixon said he would help us with that. So that all good news here. Okay. What else? That's all I have. Next item, Mr. Deeney.
Mayor, I see my name on the agenda. I didn't realize it was on the agenda. I don't have any paperwork on that subject. It's called Support Increasing Funding for the Dedicated Shore Protection Fund. There was a communication from Jim Ratala that I forwarded to the clerk's office. I can't speak to it, to be honest with you, because
Tom, do you have anything on that?
I don't have it.
No. You have nothing?
Oh, no, nothing at all. I thought you were talking about that issue.
Excuse me?
Oh, I'm
We're
sorry.
talking,
I think he is talking about that.
yeah,
This- this,
increased funding for the dedicated shore protection.
Yeah, there's two different resolutions. One is from Assemblyman Brown, and the other one was just a notification from Jim Ratala, but
Okay.
I don't have a copy of it.
Okay. So why don't we,
I think we just bypass that for tonight. It's not
why don't we
urgent.
I was just looking at an email you sent to us saying to put it on the work agenda, that's all. That's
Yeah.
why we were confused.
okay, why don't we wait for in 2 weeks, we'll put it on?
All right,
You okay?
let's move on.
Well, for Richard, to back up, Ro, do we have on the regular agenda anything on this?
It's there, but it's italicized, it says only upon approval.
Yeah, Rich, so I just want to make sure, because you did say put on the work agenda, discuss and possible action in regular. Are we still leaving the resolution on the regular then?
No,
Oh, no, okay.
because It was a suggestion from Jim Rotala that this be discussed by the commissioners, but I
The
don't
last
even...
item, Tom.
Last item?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay?
We'll have to dig it up from Jim again, see where it is.
Okay, then we'll take it off.
Okay, that's coming off. Everybody in agreed? You agreed, Maureen?
I am.
Okay. All right, next item. Roger, you and, where's Roger?
Oh, yeah.
Roger and Jimmy, sign ordinances.
Yeah,
Proposed change.
Mayor, we talked earlier last week. There have been some complaints about developer signs and real estate signs. Oops. There have been some complaints about developer signs and real estate signs proliferating around Margate on a lot of lots. One of the biggest complaints was that a developer sign is a sign where you put it up, you say, I'm going to build a house here, it's available for purchase, or I'm subdividing the parcel and I'm going to build houses for you to spec. A real estate sign is one in which there's an existing house or an existing lot and it's simply for sale. Real estate signs are allowed to be 6 square feet, and on a corner lot, only 1 sign. Developer signs, according to the ordinance we passed in 2004, are allowed to be 32 square feet, and you're allowed to have 2 signs on corner lots. We talked about this, Mayor, and we agreed that it might be a very good idea to reduce the developer signs to half the 32, or 16 square feet, and eliminate the 2 signs on the corner, so that it would be the same in that sense as the real estate signs, but there would be a little bit more advertising space for the development than a 6 square foot real estate sign. So that's my recommendation. We make that little nuanced change in the ordinance as quickly as possible, because there have been a lot of these with all of the development in town, and reduce those developer signs in half in terms of the number and the size. And if the commissioners want to go ahead with that, we could put it on the agenda for 2 weeks from now for introduction. It's a little tweaking of the ordinance. A few words have to change, and then you could pass it during the summer.
Are you, Jimmy, are you also in agreement on the change?
Yes.
Okay. Are you okay with that?
Good, by me.
Good?
Okay?
Fine.
Then we'll go ahead with that.
Thank you for taking care of it.
You're welcome.
Okay. Let's do department reports. Ed, you want to start?
All right, the first item that we'll go through is the Phase 1 upgrades for this building. We received bids after a second time bidding it, and the low bidder, here it is, the low bidder for the contract was Falaska Mechanical. The low bid came in at $158,600. Okay, what this was for, essentially, it's replacing the steam valve actuators and the steam traps. It's also condensate pumps, replacing 2 existing sump pumps. And when I say replacing 2 existing sump pumps, this is with a complete sump pump pit, wiring, it's to put them in correctly. Install 4 new sump pumps under the building, new stainless steel chimney liner, also extending the chimney up another 5 feet, because occasionally we get that gas smell on the side of the building, and it's because there's a downdraft there. All the electrical work, and I think that's pretty much it. Numbers are slightly higher than I would like, but they're within the realm of reality, and there's an urgency here that we need to get moving on this in order to get everything ordered, completed, taken care of, so that when the heating season shows up, we're functioning properly. So what I'd like to do, and it's, if we could add it to the agenda as a resolution, to award it contingent on certification of funds from the CFO. The next item, I'll go through our road program. Currently, let me put it this way, the new road program that we've just finished designing, we're advertising for bids June 11th. We will receive those bids on the 25th. with the anticipation of construction starting after the season. The ongoing road program, the only road that really has anything happening is Argyle Avenue. The base paving is scheduled for the 300 block for tomorrow. Pipe work, we replaced storm sewer, sanitary sewer, water main, water services, and sanitary sewer laterals, curb, gutter, pieces of sidewalk, and it's a fairly long stretch. So that's the only piece left to be completed. Once the base paving is in on that block, these 200 block was base paved before Memorial Day. It'd be my recommendation that we leave that street in base paving over the summer, just because of the amount of utility work that was done. Inevitably, no matter how good the contractor is, how much they compact, we're going to see some settlement. So that would be we take it to the base paving, we ramp the manholes, we ramp the gutters, we ramp any trip hazards gets ramped, and we leave it at that stage until the fall. The beach bulkhead pass-through, handicap pass-through, I believe there's something on the agenda tonight for final change order. That's a reduction of $1,500. Contractor was very good. Came in, blew in and out 3 days, did a very good job. Also did some other repairs for us. Okay, the Benson Avenue water tank, I don't know if anyone's really looked at it. I was pleasantly surprised on how well the tank came out. That was the one that we experienced some failure in the coating system. It took us over a year to get the contractor back here, but once they did come back, they did a very good job, and unless you really look at it, you can't tell it's been touched. It just still looks like it was freshly painted. So I was very happy with that work. I'm not sure if it was announced previously, but we did receive $190,000 to repave the remaining portion of Amherst Avenue from Vendome Avenue to Washington. We're putting a proposal together for what would be necessary to get that package put together, and then do the actual construction next year and fund it under next year's budget, and then get reimbursed. The municipal building repurposing, the design is about a week away from being complete. I'm meeting with the architect on Tuesday. We're going to go over her piece. At that point, I'd like to sit down with everyone and go through the building. Maybe we'll do it at a department head meeting. And also, we're waiting for the review from the FEMA reps. If you don't remember, we had an issue with them, and then they came back, had a meeting with us. Everything was fine. We did a very quick turnaround for them to show all the codes and standards that were necessary in that renovation, which they said that codes and standards are eligible reimbursements. I believe my number was over $1 million in codes and standards. I'm waiting for them to get back to us. I did put a call into the consultant, Mitch, who is working with FEMA. Haven't heard back from them, but I do want to get that cleared before we would actually put it out to bid. It'll tell us how much we can do with the money that we have in the budget. So the Ventnor Avenue streetscape, it was reported by Jim Rotella, I guess last meeting or the meeting before. We are eligible for a nice grant for that project. It's currently in historical review. I don't think they're going to find anything that would prevent us from doing our streetscape in this historical review. But at that point, I will come back to you. 2 blocks of the 3 that we already have designed and are authorized to go to bid on were in that grant. 2 more blocks down at this end of town were also in that grant. So we would have to look at doing design on those 2 additional blocks, and possibly any other ones you wanted to do. before we go to bid. It's still my intention to try to get this out to bid this summer so that as soon as the fall comes around and the crowds are gone, we could start the streetscaping. Just want to make sure I have everything else. The 14/15 road program, Frank and I came up with a list of roads that were utility deficient, I'll say. These are streets that we have utility problems with that are also bad, so they get the highest priority. My survey crews, I don't know if people have seen them around or not, but my crews have been out surveying those roads. I also, something that's not on the report, while I had my crew in, we've been trying to determine the cause of, besides the fact that tides are very high, the cause of the dry weather street flooding we're having down around Amherst Avenue in Washington, Adams and Amherst, that area. Both of those streets have outfall pipes. One is a 36, the other's a 24. Frank had all the lines televised. I've reviewed the televised. Nothing looks bad. However, during a very low tide, I was able to inspect at least the 36-inch valve. The valve may be failing. Now, the valve is about a $12,000 item. It's been there almost 20 years, believe it or not. So it's at the end of its useful life. What I would suggest is that we look at seeing if we have funding somewhere to replace that valve. It's going to need to be replaced at some point, but it is, I believe, the problem. Because when I watched the video, as the camera approached the valve, at the bottom of the valve, I could see daylight, which means it's not sealing, which led me to try to get there during a low tide and get down and take a look at it. So that's just part of an ongoing investigation to try to determine what we can do to help the people down there. Because
Is there any way to put a flow meter in that line somehow? Like where you go to televise, could you put in a portable flow meter to see? So you're thinking the water is backing up through?
yeah,
Is there a way that you could put in a flow meter to see if water's coming through?
no, but what I've been doing is, and I've asked Carmen's been very cooperative. Whenever there's flooding there, he sends me a photo, a text. So I have the time and the day. Then I can go back to tide data and look at what the tide level was. In addition, on Wednesday, I had my survey crew, give me shots at various locations so I could correlate. And pretty much if the tide is here and the inlet's here, we know the water's coming at, it's backflowing through.
Right, okay.
So the only apparent place is the valve at this point. So, and I think I've talked long enough.
Thank you very much, Ed. Frank?
We were very busy on Memorial Day. Sure.
Excuse me. The one thing that I heard you say, which we had talked about earlier, and that you recommended that we add to the agenda tonight a contingency award for that contract.
Yes.
Did
Did you get that?
did the clerk, I mean, I don't know whether the commission wants to put it on the agenda, but if they do, we should make that decision now to at least put it on the agenda. Is that right?
I'm good with it.
I'm good.
All right.
That way, as soon as Lisa can certify funds, we can get this moving. Because it will become, we're already into June, it becomes time critical.
What's the dollar amount, Ed?
159, I think.
158.6. I have the recommendation letter, I'll give you a copy. I believe we sent you,
We talked, yeah, you said something in the email today, and we talked earlier, and the clerk talked about it.
Frank, sorry.
Memorial Day, we were very busy weekend. Everything went smooth, everything was good. We also have been taking on tasks up at the pavilion. We're going to start putting new fencing where the old fencing is, where the shuffleboard courts are, and the bocce courts. We're also fixing some brickwork. We're going to replace the railing around the top porch, and we're going to paint the shuffleboard courts. The beaches are in great shape. They've been staying clean. We haven't had too much problem with trash. The thing we're having a problem with trash is that a lot of people from out of town are just leaving their trash out on Sundays and actually just leaving them in bags. So we would like people to start using trash cans and either get friendly with a neighbor or have somebody put them back. That's pretty much all I have.
Frank, is Franz are we going out with warnings to those folks?
We are going out with warnings.
Like strapping them on the cans or putting them on the doors?
We actually had stickers made up, and they will be coming in this week.
Right, okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
And they'll get a sticker on their bag, and, you know,
Right.
they'll...
Or on the cans if they don't bring them back, right?
Exactly, and it will have Margate on it, not Atlantic County.
Excuse me, one more. I would, the other thing that I didn't report on, the tennis courts are done. They came out the contractor did a really good job, much more substantial than I had anticipated, to be honest with you. So if you get an opportunity, go down, take a look at them, but they did a really nice job out there.
Chief Tabasco.
On the fire side, Mayor, I have to report that on May 30th, we sent a mutual aid company, which it entails an officer and 3 firefighters and one of our frontline apparatus to Ventnor Heights on a general alarm fire, where we assisted, and everything went well. No one was hurt. I'm sure you saw it in the news. On the beach patrol end, on the weekend of June 14th, we go from 4 to 6 protected beaches, and then the beaches remain open every day. And we increase the openings of the beaches up to 12 beaches open on June 28th. From June 28th, all 12 beaches remain open 7 days a week until Labor Day, which is September 1st this year. And that's all I have to report.
All right. Thank you, Tony. Good job.
You're welcome.
Chief Wilson.
Just to dovetail into Frank's report about Memorial Day weekend, I'd like to do a small report. We responded to 394 calls for service this past Memorial Day weekend, which is actually almost 100 more than 2013's Memorial Day. There were 77 motor vehicle stops, which resulted in the issuance of 61 summonses. There was 26 ordinance violations documented. Of those 26, there was 25 summonses issued for public urination. So we're back on that roll again like we were last year for public urination. But unfortunately, it's isolated to one spot. And we're going to do whatever we can do to address that, to get that stopped. During the time period of May, to move ahead to click it or ticket, the time period of May 19th to June 1, we worked 160 dedicated hours to click it or ticket, which resulted in 156 motor vehicle stops, and which is broken down. I don't want to go into too much detail because it'll take some time, but there was 2 DWI arrests. Now, these are all summonses: 2 for DWI, 8 seatbelt, 14 speeding, 4 for cell phone, 3 for suspended license, 1 DWI arrest that resulted in a drug arrest, and 12 for careless driving, and there were 62 other violations which could have been like procedural in nature or, you know, documentation stuff. So we were very busy with that also. So I'm very proud of the police department. Memorial Day weekend, they were out there and they worked. They earned their money. So
Chief, thanks for keeping us safe. Appreciate it.
thank you. That's it. Oh, yeah, you'll see, I'm sorry, thank you. On the agenda, the regular agenda, you're going to see a resolution for appointment of a SLEO, a Special Law Enforcement Officer, Class 2. John Oakes, who I'm happy to report, is a retired police officer from our department that decided to come back as a seasonal employee, and he is actually out there doing day work on a motorcycle, handling pedestrian crosswalks, traffic, that kind of thing, and it's been, so far, it's been 1 week, it's been very successful. The resolution is a formality that the PTC, the Police Training Commission, requires that I have to send up to them that we've appointed him. So I think that's going to work out very well, and we have, I believe, additional 2 in the pipeline for hiring, which I'm hoping to report in the next 2 weeks.
All right. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Rich?
I just have one additional item. I just want to say on the workshop that I've been asked by the Margate Sustainable Environmental Group to help them with a project that they're doing, and I will be finishing up the next couple of days a suggested policy on purchasing where practical items that are environmentally conducive for a whole variety of reasons, all kinds of products. So I'm working on that using models from 2 other communities. I'll be working with Tom next week, and we may have something on the agenda as early as next week. It's a suggested policy. When I say suggested, that all the language in the policy will be where it's practical to continue to purchase. We purchase a lot of things now that are environmentally conscious, but the local group, Sustainable Margate, is trying to get certified by the state, and there's a whole lot of projects that they're working on, and they get points for various things, and it's a worthwhile endeavor, but that's what I've been asked to do, and that's what I'm doing.
Thank you, Rich.
I just want to ask Rich on that note, and Tom, maybe you can chime in. I know in the past, when we've had to look at the purchase of new vehicles, new city vehicles, we looked into hybrid vehicles, and we found that none of the hybrids seemed to be on the government contract list, so it made it difficult for us to buy them. Has that changed? Do you know if that's changed?
I don't personally know, but I know other municipalities are buying hybrids. We can certainly find out. I didn't realize that they weren't on.
So that would be
It
good.
hasn't changed much, there's not a lot out there.
But if other municipalities are buying them, or they're just going outright and
They're
buying
going
them?
out, writing specs, and being aggressive with it, we can certainly start to do that.
Might be one of the things that we could look at.
Good idea.
Hey, Rich, I picked up some things at a seminar I was at about 3 weeks ago on purchasing with green stuff, so I'd be anxious to see what you're looking at in terms of the policy, so I can have some input if possible.
Oh, no, more than input, Tom. I'm going to send you some kind of a draft, and you can modify it and do whatever you wish with it.
Very good.
One of the things, if I may, Commissioner, we looked into hybrid vehicles at the police department and subsequently found out that once you put a hybrid vehicle into police service, it voids the warranty from the manufacturer because of the wear and tear that they suffer, so we kind of stayed away from it.
Right, I remember when we did look at that, we had issues with the other equipment in the car that always needed to be powered.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Scott?
Everybody on my left here, they are.
I know, we had to chime in on this subject, but when I was on my trip recently, we were in California, and of course, California does all kind of crazy things, but a lot of places now, and I think the Municipal Utilities Authority has a place where you can go and recharge your batteries for your electric cars, is that right?
Charging stations.
Are there, and there's at least one other in Atlantic County, I think,
And they
right?
also have the natural gas, what's that called? Is it
Propane.
natural gas
Yes.
state? you know, pumping
LP,
for-
propane.
Yeah,
It's on Delilah Road.
that's what we're talking about. ACUA.
Our trash trucks have natural gas. Ready for me, Mayor?
I'm ready, sir.
We're ready for you.
All right. Couple items for your attention. Resolution 118, authorizing the City of Margate to enter into an agreement granting curative rights to leasehold mortgagee. It's actually that's a mouthful, but what it means is Lamberti's has a lease with the city. The bank is in the process of refinancing. They want to confirm that they have the right to cure the lease if there's a default by the tenant. That's in the original lease anyway, that they have the right to cure it, but they wanted to confirm it. I believe it held up their refinancing. So if we could, I'd like to expedite that tonight. It simply reaffirms that if the tenant, our city tenant there, didn't pay the rent, the bank could pay the rent for them. It's as simple as that. That's
I'm
number
good with that.
118.
Maury?
Good
Move
by
on.
me.
Good by you? Okay, so maybe, Mayor, before the night is over, we could have you sign that resolution. Tom will acknowledge it, or already talked to him about. We're helping them out because I think they have their settlement scheduled for tomorrow, and the bank insisted on this extra paperwork. Number 123 is a revocable license for 7 South Frontenac. That may look familiar. Yes, they already have a license agreement, but on this one, and Roger can chime in if he feels so inclined, there's additional landscaping and flower boxes that will actually protrude into the right-of-way for Frontenac Avenue. The planning board made this a condition of their planning approval, or zoning approval, and so I'd ask you to consider that. It'll legitimize the removal of 3 feet of concrete and the placement of landscaping and installation of window boxes in the front of the building. It's a beautification of an existing apartment building there.
Roger, you good with that?
Absolutely.
And the planning board approved it?
They wanted it, yes.
Okay, cool. I'm good.
Third one, Mayor, is not in there in resolution form yet, but I believe there's a Dr. Baritone at 8500 Ventnor Avenue. He also needs a license. I have received the form, and I believe I emailed a copy to everybody. Again, it's a planning board approval. As it turns out, this is a building that's been around for a long time at the corner of Kenyon and Ventnor. There's an encroachment on the Kenyon Avenue side by, I believe, almost 2 feet. And they're giving him approval. The planning board approved a second floor addition, which would use that foundation wall, which is in our right-of-way. And so they need a license. I don't have the license documents finalized because I don't think I have all the necessary plans and descriptions. I will for the next meeting, though.
Okay.
And, but I just want you to be aware of it, so you say, hey, well, what's this? Well, that's what it is.
Okay.
And last but not least, not a item on our workshop, but the chief skimmed over that fire in Ventnor Heights. As the mayor and Maury, you certainly know, because John built your house, the Van Dyne family lives next door to that fire, and they were extremely grateful to the Margate Fire Department and have expressed that. You know, the Van Dynes have a family compound, kind of like the Kennedy family has their compound, but it's a little bit smaller, and it's in Ventnor Heights. So you have Tommy's house, Susie's house, Gretchen's house, and John's house. Tommy's the one who builds our lifeguard boats for us. That was some fire, if you've seen the picture. And our Margate Fire Department was there all night as backup to the Ventnor Fire Department. And the Van Dyne family, I went up to see the damage, and their homes were saved. And they gave a lot of credit to our Margate Fire Department as well as the Ventnor Fire Department. And again, it was a great example of our 2 fire departments working hand in hand to save their homes. And they absolutely said they saved our homes. So it was a great thing. I felt good. I told John I'd pass that on to you.
Okay.
And the whole Van Dyne family, extremely grateful to your department, Tony and Danny, for the assistance in saving their homes. It was a big deal. And hey, John thought, he said, I thought for sure we're losing our homes. That flame was so big, but guys saved it. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you, Scott.
That's it. That's all.
Tom?
I just have the one thing. Butch McGrath, fire official, asked today it was a last-minute thing. He was waiting on some paperwork for the beach stock, wants to have a bonfire. And for him to do the permit, he asked that the governing body pass a resolution, and that was a last-minute request. I just want to make sure you're okay with that.
Goodbye, me.
Absolutely.
That's all I have. Yep. Yes.
Okay, that's it. Roger, do you have anything else?
Mayor, I don't have anything else, just a suggestion for Frank on the trash problem. Have you thought about saturating the beach block homeowners with valet, with the ACUA valet?
Actually, we're
Situation.
finding it all over town, okay? So it's not just really one area.
Oh, good,
It's pretty
okay.
much like in
Okay.
every neighborhood.
Okay, that may help. Good.
Jim?
Good evening. May 30th, you got a letter from FEMA about a preliminary working map that's going to take effect probably in a year from now. They'll have the 90-day appeal period, and then there's a 30-day consultation visit from FEMA, and then there's another 60-day period where it goes into effect. So we're looking at probably around October of 2015 where we have an official map that we'll be able to work with the general public when they build a house. But it's pretty much the same map that we're using now. There is no difference. Everything is, we are implemented on the preliminary map that we have in our office that Roger and I use is exactly the same map that FEMA has given us for review. I've given a copy of it to Ed. He's going to make some more copies for us. and then we'll have them on display in City Hall. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Jim. Maureen?
As a result of the police department being busy the holiday weekend, we've gotten all that paperwork but been caught up. But I'd just like to say about the public urination, we've had 4 people enter not guilty pleas, so we're going to have, I don't know if we'll have a trial or whatever, but a lot of them are payable on Monday, so we're getting a lot of phone calls about the price, and they're just paying it. And then a couple have called, and we had 4 so far that we're putting down for a trial, so we'll see what happens. But other than that, we're looking forward. This summer's going to be busy, I think.
Thank you.
All right.
Rosie, anything? No. Maury, I have nothing. Maury?
No, nothing for me.
Okay. Then we'll open for public comment. 3 minutes on anything that was discussed today. No respect, Steve.
Stephen Altman, 9003 Amherst Avenue, Margate. I'm glad to hear that we're going to be moving back to the original City Hall for future meetings. However, I'd like to point out that this building has really shown the value of having a backup. And I'd like to point out that the City Hall is still on an elevation that could get flooded in the future. If the recommendations from NOAA and federal agencies are correct, we should see an increase in ocean levels of at least 6 to 12 inches over the next 50 years. Now, I'd like to point out, tooting my own horn, that just closing the draperies have improved the sound system dramatically. Closing the curtains assisted also. Now, I don't know the people who did your study, but I did original research months ago to point out that baffles could be put in here for about $2,000. That's chump change. And I didn't recommend carpeting because I think this should remain a multi-use room. If we have an emergency where people are going to have to be in this room on cots or whatever, or meals are going to be served here, there are going to be times when somebody is going to have to walk up to a microphone and make an announcement. And if people can't hear, that's a problem for these kinds of emergency situations. Now, I'm sure there are Sandy funds available to find $2,000 to put into this room. I've looked at it. I know what I'm talking about. Go on the internet, put in the search word baffles or sound baffles, and you'll see I'm right. And these things can be hung from the ceiling with a pulley system, and I'm sure Frank's people are nautical knowledgeable enough to set up a pulley system so that you can lower them down or pull them back up, and we would have a much more useful facility, notwithstanding that you're moving back to City Hall. So I really think you should consider and do a small amount of research. I did the research. I sent links to the appropriate person in city government. I've never heard back. So my urge is for you guys to just do a small search on the internet. $2,000.
I'll ask Fred to do that, Steve.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Oh, one other thing. It wasn't specifically mentioned, but there was an article on ocean water quality in the paper today, and it shows excellent quality, good, fair, and so on.
Steve, anything that was discussed here today, and we really didn't talk about that.
I just wondered what 543222 means to our ocean quality, because it didn't relate to nobody knows offhand?
Well, I don't, Steve. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Anyone else?
Joy has something for all department heads, even though it wasn't discussed, but if we wait till the regular meeting, they won't be here, so she asked if she could do this.
Is that okay?
Go ahead.
How about if I just do my brief synopsis of the main thing I want to communicate, and then I'll wait till the next meeting to go into detail?
What do you know?
Goodbye, May.
I just want to...
It's really not fair to everybody else, but go ahead, Joanne.
Okay. I'm just letting the department heads know that the time of arrival for my special event is now 11 a.m. rather than noonish, and I wanted to catch everyone. Thank you.
Sewell, 22 West Drive, following up on the mayor's remarks about the dunes. I once again will reiterate that any ordinance, law, statute passed by the governor has to be uniform and has to be applied uniformly. And such is not the case with these dunes. You just have to look to Ventnor. Ventnor City, more than half are without dunes. So if they're mandated, why are half of the dunes in Ventnor not completed after 2 refills? Also, from my understanding, Wildwood will be made totally exempt. So if it's arbitrary and capricious, the application of this law, it cannot stand the test in court. It will fail. And if the mayor was awake on Tuesday or Tuesday evening, he will see that the Hughes dynasty is about to launch a frontal attack upon Frank LoBiondo. Now, Frankie might decide to put a little heat on the DEP and the Corps of Army Engineers to back off, back down, because he's going to have a tough fight to get reelected. The mayor himself is only T-minus 11 months to a reelection. And I can tell him that Vaughn Reel smells blood in the water with 65% of the voters in Margate dead set against the dunes. I don't know how the mayor expects to get reelected along with his cohort, co-conspirator, and co-defendant, who is luckily absent today. But you can't get elected if you're going against the will of the people. And the will of the people is crystal clear, Mayor. They don't want the dunes. Zip. Nada. You're not getting the message. And you better get it real soon, because when this campaign comes around, you don't want Vaughn Reel back in, no more than I do. You know, as bad as you are, Mayor, Vaughn Reel is 10 times worse in my book. He violates federal law.
Thank you, I think.
I think. You're just the lesser of two evils, Mayor. I don't know how I'll have the China woman cast a vote for you, but it'll certainly be a consideration if one boy is running.
15 seconds.
No.
Did you vote for me, John?
Oh, never, Mayor. Never. As long as I live and breathe. Thank you, Mayor.
Did you vote at all, John?
As one old codger said, don't vote. It only encourages them. We vote the Quaker.
Thank you, John. It's sick. Anyone else?
Sharon Simon, 424 North Thurlow Avenue. On the question of the dunes, Mayor Becker, you've been very clear from the beginning that you would not make any waves, so to speak, and you would not draw a line in the sand, so to speak, when it came to the dunes. From the beginning, as soon as the vote came in, with the majority of people saying no, you were already dancing the tune of the DEP and everybody else. And we've all kept saying, and we all said, the mayor is just going to play around and play his cards and do nothing, and then say, I didn't have a choice. I couldn't do anything. Meanwhile, the other mayors, in Brigantine and Ventnor, Longport, they've actually spoken up and said, look, wait a minute, what about this? What about that? You, zippity-doo-dah. We have asked you over and over, from the moment we got that letter or whatever we got from the DEP that was very strong, basically saying they're coming in and taking over, for you to respond. You send a letter, and then you get an Attorney General letter saying your law, it's what the Attorney General says. Of course it is. They're all in bed together, and we all know it. Now, we asked you to respond to that letter. You did not. We asked you to send a letter, why is Wildwood and whoever else is different than us, than Margate? You sent it, never got a response. When I asked you about it, you said, you call them up. So you sit by quietly. There's no reason why the DEP or the Army Corps or the Attorney General or anybody else shouldn't just plow in here and take and do, because you've given them the signal, it's okay with me. Don't worry. I'll let the people know that I had nothing to do with it. For a fact, when there was a meeting and it was requested that Vaughn Rio attend, the DEP said it was okay. The Attorney General said, no. No word from you. Let's have a private meeting. Let's have Mr. Deeney, Mr. Abbott, you, in the privacy, and come back and give a report saying, oh, it's so wonderful. It's not going to cost us. We have no legal obligation to maintain the dues. Well, that's ridiculous. We all know that, and we have to maintain them, or what's the use of having them, and it's going to cost us money. You said, we're not going to do anything. We have to have this question answered and this question
15
answered.
seconds,
You haven't gotten anything answered. And all along, you know very well, and we all know very well, that they're going along and planning the project, and you come in here and say, oh, I just heard. They're going to come and take the easements. There's nothing we can do.
Thank you.
None of us believe it. So your sales job is not very good. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Steve Warner, 103 North Sumner Avenue. I have a job now. I'm doing on the Regency in Ventnor, 5200 Boardwalk, on the 20th floor. And you could look out on the balcony and look at the dunes that Ventnor has, especially the upper part of Ventnor. And really, they're beautiful if you look at it. First of all, the beaches are bigger than they've ever been in Ventnor. They're huge. You have the dunes, which you hardly even notice the dunes. There's a fence in the front, there's a fence in the back. They have some grass and what have you, and there's ways to get over the dunes. You hardly even notice it. And then you get to the biggest beach they've ever had in Ventnor, and that's better than half of Ventnor. So I think anybody that's afraid of the dunes should go up to Ventnor, maybe ask somebody to, if they go to their condo, and take a look at it from a height, and it really looks nice. It's nicer than it's ever been in Ventnor, I can tell you that. That's number one. And number two, the cost of fighting this thing is just nuts. I mean, right off the bat, you're going to lose in district court, okay? Then you're going to appeal it. It's already been before the appeals court, and the city lost. The state's rights were upheld, so that's the second loss. So now you're going to go to the Supreme Court. That's going to be a loss. And then you're going to go to the U.S. Supreme Court, and the U.S. Supreme Court's not even going to hear the case. So you lose. So maybe you should realize it's not as bad as you think. Take a look at it. Take a look in Ventnor and see how nice it is, and get used to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Mike, I would just like to respond to Mr. Warner. Next time you go to that apartment and you're on the 20th floor, take your binoculars with you and take a look down. Take a look down at all the broken fencing, all the broken steps, all the exposed pipes, the trash, the ponds, and the puddles in front of those dunes. Take a good look at those, and then imagine yourself walking over the steps in Margate and looking at that, and then come back and tell us how beautiful those dunes are.
Anyone else from the public? Is there, wait a minute, Steve. Is there, last chance. Is there a motion to close public comment?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Is there a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
We will take a 5-minute break and start the public meeting.
All right.
Tom, you have those resolutions for that.
Yeah, I just signed them, but there's no place,
Yeah, I have
Oh,
the
okay,
agreement.
okay.
I brought the agreement. They only faxed the copy.
Thank you.
They didn't give us a